backward. When he mentioned that her absence at the meeting prompted him to check the paddock, where he found her horse standing outside the rails, riderless and sweated through its blanket, Judy didn't wait for elaboration, but immediately patched him through to Sheriff Sergeant Warren Jarrett. Jarrett reached Martha Ettinger at her home. "You call up the hasty team?" she said. "Sure. She's hurt serious. You don't want to lose time on something like this. My guess is she got bucked and they'll find her before we mount up. The Wrangler's heading up there to backtrack the trail she was taking. He'll have an hour's start on us. No reason for you to come, but I've known you long enough to know you might rather." Ettinger stuck her head outside her back door and whistled sharply to round up Goldie, her Australian shepherd. She said, "That's the Culpepper place on Papoose, right? Do they have a sign? I seem to remember making a wrong turn 6-7 years ago when old Ollie tickled his tonsils with the barrel of his Winchester." "Yeah. Well, the widow's got it clear marked. A gate big enough for Paul Bunyan to yoke his ox. But just in case you don't pick it up in the headlights, I'll drop off a traffic cone with a reflective strip." Martha had picked up Walter Hess in town and filled him in on the drive up the valley. The missing woman, she was 25, named Nanika Martinelli, had taken advantage of ranch policy encouraging the help to participate in trail rides if there was a mount available, and being midway through September, there had been. The Wrangler had led his party of yahoos on a standard afternoon outing, a 12-mile loop trail skirting Lionhead Mountain, when Martinelli pulled alongside to say she was taking the long way back on a branch trail that cupped the headwall of Papoose Basin. The trail added 6 miles and would get her back to the ranch in about an hour and a half. Martinelli, being an experienced horsewoman who had soloed before, the Wrangler just reminded her to check Beauregard's shoes for rocks before sponging and brushing him down. It struck Ettinger as careless to allow someone to ride off into the wilderness alone, no matter how competent she was sitting saddle. A dude outfit like the Culpeppers held its breath any time a guest hung a fingernail or hooked himself with a trout fly. Even if Martinelli had signed on the dotted line of the liability clause, it opened the barn door for a lawsuit about as wide as you could push it. But without the details, it was hard to speculate. Jason Kent, the incident commander of search and rescue, sat at the communications desk he'd set up in a corner of one of the ranch's unoccupied guest cabins. "Martha, Walt." No handshakes. The big sandy-haired man with the farmer's tan glanced up at them. Walter Hess, thin, hawk-faced, about 5'10". Ettinger, an inch shorter, solidly built with curly auburn hair, startling blue eyes that were spider-veined from strain, and a broad face that was handsome rather than pretty. Kent indicated to Ettinger to bring him a stick of kindling from the stack beside the stone fireplace. He took the stick in his left hand, the one with 2 missing fingers, swiveled his chair, and tapped the topo map he'd pinned to the wall. "This is the trail Martinelli said she was going to take after leaving the party. It switchbacks up the north side of the basin, contours under the head wall for 1.5 miles, then switchbacks down the south side. We have riders going up both legs. The Wrangler had an hour's start on us, so if she went spurs over stirrups up there, he should have found her by now. But Bucky Anderson's the ranch manager, said the young fella saddled up in a rush, went off half-cocked, and has no way of contacting us or vice versa." Martha's smile was sour. "I know Bucky. We share blood on my father's side. Last I heard, he was going to marry Lady Culpepper herself, see ranch life from the top rung of the ladder." "Like my dad used to tell me," Kent said, "son, you can marry more money in 5 minutes than you can make in a lifetime." "Where is Bucky? I'd like to talk to him before Walt and I ride up there." Kent shook his head. "I told him you'd want a word, but he's bullheaded and couldn't wait. Reminds me of somebody else I know." He briefly met Martha's eyes. "Anyway, Bucky knows that country better than anyone. He left a half hour ago. I put him up the south side. The Wrangler went up the north. Warren Jarrett's coordinating the containment. We have riders here, here, and here, as you can see."